Hey, welcome in, Glow Getters. Thanks for being here. And let me start by saying today we're going to have a story. I'm going to be talking about the last 24 hours for me and control. So let's step into that, shall we? Before we get started, if you are liking what I'm talking about, if this is resonating with you, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, drop me a comment, ask me any question. I would be happy to answer. I believe I've mentioned that I am now in the midst of writing a book. When I first started this podcast, I had no plans, no thoughts, and no ideas that I would write a book about the evolving business model and the movement behind it. And on top of that, trying to put together the marketing, the messaging, talking about Ms. Mind, business goddess style, all of my courses, all of my offerings, everything that I have put together has been a long road. Not that that's bad, because it has been enjoyable to say the least. It has been a blast getting on here, getting into the last 24 hours though. When I first had the thought about writing the book, the funny thing is, it was a straight intuitive hit. I just knew that that's what I needed to do. I got to write a book about this. There's so much information. There's other things I want to talk about besides the evolving business method. I want to talk about what it means to change your mind for your business. As a woman entrepreneur, I want you to see that it's possible to change what you're doing right now, to step into trusting yourself and moving your business into a place that is wonderful to be in. I knew then when I got the intuitive hit on the book that there was no messing around. All of this stuff is super fresh in my head. I've got all these episodes about it. I've got all this information. It's been a week since I decided, yeah, I'm going to do this. Well, Chat GPT has one of its GPTs is nonfiction writing. They actually have a help for that. I went to that and said, what do I do? How do we get started? Because even though I wrote a book already, Being Your Ideal Future Self, that was something that just sort of naturally evolved. I just sort of sat down and started writing. And this way, I have so much research on the back end that I knew I needed to be able to put in where all of my information was coming from, not just the ahas inside of myself. It is that I needed to connect all the dots and also cite people, the doctors, their books that I have read, and all of those things, the articles, my episodes, all of it needed to be able to be cited. And this was way bigger than I had planned. I put all of my information in, and chat gave me back an outline. And looking at the outline, I was sort of horrified by it. If I would have done this with my first book, I may not have ever written it. That was one of the issues that I had immediately was, wow, I didn't even work from an outline. I didn't even think before I just wrote. So I set myself up a schedule. I changed what I was doing during my day and set a time. This is when I'm going to sit down and write. Oddly enough, I've already finished the introduction. And then I looked at the next thing and thought, okay, chapter one, I don't even know where to begin. And I looked at my outline and I read through it and I thought, I have no idea how to even start this. And then I had this realization that I need to go back to all of my written information that I've got saved, which is a lot. and I need to reread that first off. Then I thought, oh, I need to reread my transcriptions from the episodes where I specifically talk about the evolving business model and the legacy model. And I went, oh, that's going to take me some time. I'm not going to be writing at all. That was sort of daunting. And I thought, where am I spending my time now? I was starting to freak out at that moment. And so I got on with the book writing chat, and he walked me through creating a research sheet, basically. And with all my categories, sort of like with all of the information that I'm going to be talking about. And then I get to fill all of that in with all of my reference materials for all of this information. And I'm looking at the blank and just thought, there's so much to put in here. I don't even know how to begin. And I was so overwhelmed by the depth of information and the depth of my own research that I have to do again. And so I thought, okay, well, let me grab my books. That might be a good place to start. Well, let's just say I've got a stack of 9 books sitting right here in front of me that I need to do is review them. I need to go looking for those super important things that made things click in my head. And I have 9 books sitting here. Well, that didn't help. So now I have all of these bookmarks for articles that I need to take a look at, make sure that I've got the author, the website, all of those things put together. I need to save them into a document that is easily accessible in reference. I need to go through these books. I need to review my own written material. I need to review my own transcripts. And that's not even all of it. I have to write. Now, mind you, by the end of putting together the introduction, I felt much less rusty and out of practice with this. So things flowed a little bit better. Of course, editing is 80% of writing. And that popped into my head then too. Holy smoke. I am doing the 20% right now. Oh my God. And then I thought, this is this is a years long process for me. I was just so blown away. And I walked away from my desk yesterday because I was just done. I was so overwhelmed with the amount of information and the amount of back end work that was going to have to go into this. I couldn't possibly see a way forward. I was in so much fear, if you will, because it felt so out of my control. I was sitting here before I left my desk and I was going through all of this information and making the to do list, the dreaded to do list, and thinking that it would offer me some kind of comfort with the control of it. And it didn't work. I walked out of the office and thought, well, I don't even have the bandwidth right now to read any of these books that I've got stacked and ready to go. And then I became sort of hopeless because I could not see an end. I couldn't see that I was going to be able to do all of this. How can I possibly do this? I mean, I've never written a book like this. And so I didn't sleep well last night. There was this huge weight on me, this overwhelm, this hopelessness, thinking I don't know how to get through this. And I realized, oh, I'm saying that to myself. Let's back up on that and say, I may not know right now, but the answer is coming. And so that is sort of how I actually put myself to sleep, was by repeating that the answer is coming. I don't need to know all the details. The answer is coming. This morning, I sat down at my 7 a.m. writing. I sat there and put my fingers on the keys and had no idea what to do. I didn't have any idea what to write. I was exactly back where I was when I walked away yesterday morning. I started to freak out again. So I sat here again with my fingers on the keyboard, wondering, what the hell am I writing? That need to control again came forward. And I looked at that to do list and I thought, that's doing me no good. This need to control the entire environment, that I am looking at this in such a huge way. I am looking at the forest and I'm not looking at an individual tree. And I am looking at the enormity of the work that's going to be put into this book. I was letting myself get caught up in the enormity of it. It was sapping my confidence in myself. When I first thought this, when that intuition hit, I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. I love writing. This is going to be great. And instead, I let myself fall down the rabbit hole of, I need to control this. Essentially, I was disregarding the intuition that had guided this from the beginning. I was trying to hurry it along, get through the stuff that I don't want to do, which is rereading these books and finding the things, the information that I need. It is organizing all of the back end stuff. I literally was not able to focus, which was a byproduct of trying to control it all in one fell swoop. I was not following my intuition. I was holding on to the thought, the expectation of it that obviously had already been broken, because here I was thinking this is going to be fun. And now all I'm doing is looking at this and thinking, well, this is a shitload of work. And that doesn't sound fun. You guys know my foundation is fun. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it. And that's exactly where I ended up. Well, I don't want to do this. There I am with my 30 minutes and thinking, first off, I don't even know where to go. I don't even know what to do. And secondly, I don't want to do this now. This is not fun. I am not enjoying myself and I don't want to do it. So I went and sat out with the dogs. I let the dogs maul me and give me love and sit on my lap and everything else, even though, 245-pound pit bulls are not exactly easy to have sit on your lap. Either way, they were wonderful and brought me back from that brink of I don't want to do this. By the time I got to my morning routine of meditation and forgiveness and journaling, I started with my prayers and said, I need guidance on this. How do I get past this? And the bottom line is, doing that was super helpful because I feel way better. I was able to integrate that, forgive myself for diving down the hole, forgive myself for that complete breakdown of my normal way of looking at something. And the realization that I needed to control all of this in order to control the enormity of this step that I've taken into writing this book. I had to be kind to myself. That I needed to step back and say, I don't want to schedule my writing time. I want to write when the intuition hits, because that's what I did before. No wonder when I put my fingers on the keyboard yesterday, nothing came. And this morning, nothing came. Why? Because I was not being intuitively called to write something. And talk about your facepalm moment. Oh, oh, this is all that stuff that I talk about. This is all that stuff that I teach. And I fell down my own rabbit hole. What a relief. I know that that sounds crazy, but what a relief to know that me pushing this, me trying to control not just what was happening right now and not just the research, but trying to control the entire process. I was trying to force myself to write when I had no idea what needed to be said. And what that led to was the shutting down of my intuition. I was shoving myself into this need to hold on as tight as I possibly could to the outcome. I got to fix this. I got to make this easier for myself. Well, that's not what intuition is. Intuition is waiting for the call and allowing the pull to guide you where to go. And here I was pushing. Thankfully, it took me less than 24 hours to figure this out for myself. It's one of those things that made me realize no matter how much information you have, no matter how many times you go through something, no matter how many experiences you have of doing the same thing over and over again, it can creep up on you in a moment of stress. And that's okay because when you have the tools, you can step back from the brink and you can examine it and you can disseminate it yourself. I mean, that's the whole idea behind the tools that I teach. I figured it out on my own. And obviously, I feel much better now. I am not in this tightly controlled space of, I got to figure this out. I'm going to file those books away. Bye bye, books. And I'm going to wait for the call. Maybe 7 a.m. is the time that that call comes. Maybe not. I am going to allow those intuitive hits, the logic behind my intuition to come and show me the way. The bottom line is this was a rough less than 24 hours, recognizing that I was actually doing to myself the things that I've always done to myself in such a short time was a huge win for me. What a great lesson that even though I went and did that to myself, I also realized that I didn't do that to myself. And what I also realized is the solution. I'm going to drop the to do list because chat has my to do list. I'm going to put those books away. I'm going to put my fingers on the keyboard and I'm just going to write when I'm called to write. Am I going to write in order of the outline? I don't know. See, that's the fun thing about this. Well, I have this outline. I don't know that I'm going to follow it as far as writing schedule goes. I'm going to do what I'm called to do. I'm going to write out of order. Oh, the horror of that, right? But that's okay. I am okay with that. I let go of needing to control the entire situation. I was able to untie that rope of the weight of that anchor dragging me down and slowing me down and cutting off the circulation to everything inside of me. And now I can think outside the box. I can just think again. I can feel again. I can feel the excitement again. It's all there again. It doesn't feel as daunting. If anything, I don't even feel daunting at all anymore. Do I need the information in some of these books? I may not. And yet here I was going to sit down with these books and go through them and spend all that time and energy. Well, what if I don't need them? Isn't that brilliant? So this was a story of control, story of understanding. Again, not necessarily a new understanding, but because I've started a new project, a lot of those old behaviors and old habits came back. It's the new thing again. And all of those old habits of mine reared their ugly head and said, "Hi, how you doing?" Thankfully, those monsters, I was actually able to shine the light on them this morning. What a relief. I hope that this offered you a thought on unclenching your fist a little bit, because I think that that more than anything is what holds us back, that need for control. because control is a mask. It masks fear and uncertainty and sadness and anger. If I control this, all the rest will be controllable as well. And that's not entirely true because once you then lose control, all the rest of it comes roaring back. I just needed to trust, and not just trust in the process, trust in the purpose, but trust in me. I already wrote a book. I can do this. And I had let myself forget about it. And I'm not afraid anymore. And I know that this will work. And all of those things that I was feeling from the beginning, they're all back. The blessings of understanding and letting go of the control, the need for control. This now is going to be fun again. And I guess that's the best way to end this. If you have enjoyed this story, if you love what I'm talking about, be sure to subscribe, follow, like, comment. I would love to hear if someone else has had an experience like what I just talked about. I'd love to know your story. And then that's going to be it for me today. Go out there and keep shining your light. See ya.